and welcome to my craft room. I'm Leo from inkymemories.co.uk. I'm an independent Stampin' Up demonstrator based in South Wales, and today on this simple Saturday stamping video I'm going to be making thank you cards. So every month I like to make thank you cards for the customers that have shopped with me over the month as part of their thank you pack. And this video is going to be showing you how I've made this month's card, and we're using some new products. So these have come from the January to June catalogue, which is almost here. Just another week or so to go until this launches, so not much longer at all. The bundle I'm using today is this gorgeous sweet strawberry bundle, which is a stamp and punch bundle. And as you can see, this punch is a builder punch, so it actually punches out 4 different shapes. You've got your strawberry and the sort of stem, a leaf and a mini flower for that, and then you have a coordinating stamp set with that as well. Now, with this being the time of year when Sale-A-Bration comes around as well, there are also some coordinating products in the Sale-A-Bration brochure that go with this bundle that I will be using today, and they actually come as a bundle themselves. So this is the Berry Blessings stamp set and the Berry Delightful Designer series paper. So as you can see, the Berry Blessings, try saying that 3 times quickly, the Berry Blessings stamp set uses the same sort of font for the sentiments, so it kind of continues on from that. You've got a couple of other berry images in here, so you've got your sort of blackberry or raspberry and some blueberries in here, and then some more leaf and stem images. And then this designer series paper is absolutely gorgeous, full of berry images. So this side is all different sort of berry patterns on here. And then the reverse side is lots of really fun, bright colour and patterns. So you've got sort of a plaid or a tartan, this gorgeous gingham, this lovely leaf pattern on here, another tartan, this lovely strawberry pips, and this sort of purpley, almost like snakeskin. This is what this reminds me of, but I'm not sure that's exactly how it was intended. But gorgeous designer series paper. I've cut this down to 6x6 just to show you it does actually come as 12x12 sheets. And these 2 items together, so the Berry Blessing stamp set and the Berry Delightful Designer Series paper, are one selection from Sale-A-Bration. So for those of you that don't know about Sale-A-Bration, for January and February every year we run a Sale-A-Bration sort of offering, basically, where you can earn products for free on your order. So this bundle is free with any £90 order, so you get both the stamp set and the gorgeous designer series paper for free if you place an order that totals £90. If you need more information on Sale-A-Bration, there will be a video on this coming very soon on the channel where I'll go through all of the different options, so keep a lookout for that. So today's project then, like I said, we are making a card today. So I have my pieces pre-cut. I'll pull those in for you now so you can see what we're working with. So I've gone with the colour palette that is in the designer series paper. So I've used a rich raspberry card base. So this is just a standard sheet of A4 cut in 2. So this works out at 14.85 by 21, and I've scored this up the middle at 10.5. I have a mat in Whisper White for the inside of my card, and this is 13.35 by 9. Standard mat, I tend to use that size for all of my inner mats. I then have a couple of pieces for the front. So I have a piece of this designer series paper that's sort of almost snakeskin pattern. This one is 12.85 by 8.5. I have another piece of rich raspberry. This one is 12.35 by 8. And then a piece of this gorgeous sort of strawberry based paper here. And this one is 11.85 by 7.5. And then I have a couple of little scrappy pieces here, so some of that gorgeous strawberry seeds paper and the nice leaf paper as well. And I also have a scrap of Whisper White somewhere here that I can't quite see, but I shall find it momentarily. So let us get some stamping done first of all. It's always good to get that done first. And okay, so before I stamp anything, I actually want to bring in one other punch. Now this is the Story Label punch, and this is actually from the annual catalogue. So this is available all the time at the moment, so you can get this already. And all I'm going to do is just punch myself one of these Story Label punches from my Whisper White cardstock, and that's all I need the scrap piece for. I find with this it is a little bit easier if I stamp my sentiment and so on straight onto the punched shape rather than trying to get them to line up in the punch. It will make sense in a moment. Okay, let us do this stamping then. So I'm going to start off with my tag. This is for the front of my card. So I have here the thank you sentiment from the Sweet Strawberry stamp set. And I'm going to stamp this in Rich Raspberry. I'm just going to pop this straight across the center of this tag that I have punched out here. So I'm just inking up my stamp, lightly tapping it onto my ink pad just to make sure it is nicely inked up. And I'm going to put this, like I say, right across the middle. It just fits onto here, so you might want to take a moment, just line this up carefully. Push it straight down onto your cardstock and lift it straight back up. And I'm going to bring in today, I'm actually using my stamping scrub for cleaning all of my stamps today. So I'm just going to bring this in and my stamping mist. I'm just going to clean my stamps off as I use them. It's almost like a New Year's resolution, but I'm starting it early. I'm cleaning my stamps as I go rather than having a whole table full of dirty stamps waiting for me at the end of each project. So with my tag, I want to add a little bit of extra decoration onto here. I'm going to bring in some Granny Apple Green ink. Again, just pulling colours from the Designer Series paper that we're using. And I have the leaf image from the stamp set. I'm just going to ink this up. So again, nice light taps onto the ink pad, and I'm going to stamp this off onto my grid paper and then pop my leaf image over the top of my sentiment. I'm just going to ink this up a second time and again stamp it off and then do a second leaf onto my tag. And again, I almost put my stamp straight down then, but no, I'm going to clean this off straight away. There we go. So that is my tag done. So I've stamped my sentiment across the middle and then just added that little bit of extra decoration so it's not quite so much white space. So I don't need my green ink anymore. I'm going to pop that away before I end up with something in it. And I'm going to bring in some memento. There's a couple more things I want to stamp. I have here this paper. I think this is possibly my favourite piece in this whole Designer Series paper set, with these gorgeous strawberry seeds on here. And I'm going to stamp 3 of the strawberry image. So I have the outline image. In the stamp set you actually have 2 different strawberry images, and they're designed to be done as 2-step stamping. So a lot of these images actually are 2-step stamping. So you have here sort of the background or the sort of colour infill. So you have it for your stem, your strawberry, the leaf, and the 2 sizes of flowers on here. And then you can see you have the outline images for those as well. Now today I'm just using the outline image of the strawberry, which is what I have mounted on here. I'm just going to ink this up in memento. Now, as I've said before, memento is a slightly firmer ink pad, so you do need to press a little harder to ink up your stamp fully. Not too hard, you don't need to go completely crazy, but just something to bear in mind. And I'm just going to stamp 3 of these little strawberries onto this lovely strawberry seed paper here, which I've already used quite a lot of, I must admit. I've only had this for a couple of weeks. Okay, there we go. Again, I clean off my stamp. Especially with memento ink and photopolymer stamps, you do want to make sure you get them cleaned up nice and quickly. Pop that to one side. I'm going to bring in this sort of leaf design here, and I have the stem outline image from the stamp set. So again, I'm just going to ink this up with some memento and stamp it onto paper here. So there is my little leaf, sort of leafy stem part. And then I want to pop a little bit of decoration onto the inside of my card as well. So I've grabbed out of the stamp set this larger image here, which is the one just down in here. So sort of a couple of strawberry flowers and leaves, which I thought was a really nice, simple little stamp for the inside of my card. So again, I'm just going to ink this up in memento. And then pop that just across the corner of the inner mat for my card, like so. And again, clean off my stamp. I will get into the habit of doing this. My muscle memory is itching to just put my stamp block down, but no, I will resist. Okay, no envelope again today. I am still waiting for envelopes, so I'm not going to have envelopes for a little while, I think. As soon as that is resolved, I shall let you know. Okay, now that I have all of my images stamped, I'm going to do some punching with this gorgeous punch here. I do have a little bit of a tip with this. When you are punching with punches like this, there's quite a few different ways that you can do it to make things a little easier. What I'm going to do today is actually snip up and sort of separate all of my images before I punch them. So just give these a rough snip up the edge. The reason being, as you can see if I turn this over, all of these are quite close together. So if I was to feed in all of my strawberries in a row, you'd possibly end up punching part of the next strawberry with either the sort of stem or the flower image here. And the same with the stem, you would take a lot of the extra paper out as well. So this is one way to sort of minimize how much designer series paper or cardstock you are wasting when you're punching with these kind of things. The other thing I would recommend is to punch the entire thing with some thick Whisper white or basic white, whichever is currently available for you. And you can then use that as a template. What you then do is you sit your template down, you actually sit your stamps into that template and then put a block on top of them. And that means you can stamp all of them in one go and they'll all perfectly line up with the punch. You can do the same thing on the Stamparatus as well. So put your template onto your Stamparatus and magnet it down. Line up each of the stamps onto the different panels of your Stamparatus, and then you can stamp them all in different colours. But again, you can punch them all out of the single piece of cardstock in one go, and I will show you how to do that on another video. I'm going to be using this set a lot, so you will see it again, and I'll show you that Stamparatus tip in person. The other tip that I have, now that I have snipped these down, obviously it's going to be quite difficult to feed these in, so I have here just a little bit of white cardstock that I have put some of the Tombow multi-purpose liquid glue onto the edge of here. Now if you just put glue on, specifically Tombow multi-purpose glue, and leave it to dry, it becomes a repositionable glue, kind of like your post-it notes and things like that. You can then stick your little piece of designer series paper to it, and then you can use the whole thing to then feed it into the correct place in your punch. So I'm just going to line up my stamped image on here. And you can see what I mean, that the paper is going to go into the edges, so you are going to end up punching some of the rest of it as well, but that's fine as long as we get the strawberry that we need. So I'm going to peel this bit of paper off here and do the same with my other two strawberries. So as you can see there, I did the same trick with my leaf stem with my piece of Whisper White to get that through the punch as well. So a great thing to have around. You can make yourself one and use it for multiple projects. Okay, I'm going to do a little bit of assembly next to get things ready. So I'm going to bring back in my card base, fold it on the score line, and taking my bone folder, I'm just going to burnish that score line. And as always, this just helps our card to stay nicely creased and stand upright when it is received and displayed. And I'm going to pop my inner mat into my card just using some liquid glue. So just a nice thin bead of glue around the edge of my cardstock. A little bit of a swish across the middle, that's a technical term, just in case you didn't know. And then lay that into the center, and if it doesn't land in quite the right place first time with that liquid glue, you've got a few seconds just to wiggle it into place if need be. I'm going to put the first piece of designer series paper down with liquid glue as well. So that's this one, the sort of, I say snakeskin. Tell me what you see. What does this piece of designer series paper remind you of? What pattern does that remind you of? Maybe it's meant to be like the sort of the individual bits of fruit. They're on raspberries and blackberries and things like that. Not sure. Let me know. Pop it in the comments. What do you see on this paper? And with this one, I'm going to pop this at a slight angle. So I want to make sure that I have a fairly even gap for each of the points to each of the sides of my card. And again, just smooth that into place. And then I'm going to layer up these two pieces. So my Designer Series paper, I'm going to put onto my piece of rich raspberry cardstock. Again, just using liquid glue for this. I like to work with liquid glue, it gives me that sort of wiggle room if things don't line up quite perfectly the first time. If you use Stampin' Seal, which is a great adhesive, I love using that too when I'm making quicker cards, but you do have to be a lot more precise with that. So if you're unsure, I would always recommend going for liquid glue. So I've got a lot of my pieces done here. I'm going to do a little bit of work with my strawberries. Now with these, I want to fold them in half with the stamped image going into the center. So just gently press them together, and I'm going to do this for all three of my little strawberries here. The third one. There we go. And then I'm going to glue these together. I'm making a little bit of a 3D strawberry going on here. So I'm just going to put a little bit of liquid glue all along this edge. And then taking the next strawberry, I'm going to glue those two sides together. Now they won't fully line up, the strawberry is not fully symmetrical, but that's fine. Just try and line it up as best you can so you cover as much of the sort of underside DSP as possible. And once you're happy they have bonded, move on to the next side. A little bit more liquid glue onto there. And then add in your third strawberry punch out. And again, just sort of give it a wiggle, make sure you've got it nicely lined up on there. And that is our little 3D strawberry that's going to be going onto the front of our card. So I'm going to do a little bit more building. I have here the white polka dot tulle ribbon, which is one of my favourites, and I think it works really really nicely, apologies. I'm not quite sure where my English went there. It works really nicely with this set. It kind of reminds me of summer picnics and all those things that we definitely look forward to when the weather is dark and grey and gloomy in that sort of non-period between Christmas and New Year. Speaking of, I hope you all had a wonderful Christmas, that you got to spend it with some friends and family, whether that was in person or by telephone or video chat. For me, we just had a super little Christmas this year, as I think a lot of people did. When we are home, we tend to host my in-laws here. They come to us for Christmas lunch, and even with the restrictions I was still able to do that and cook them Christmas lunch, which was lovely. And then that's it basically. I've spoken to the rest of my family, either by telephone or video conference, catch up with my godchildren and my niece. It's a fairly quiet one, but that's fine. We're having a quiet one this year so we can have a bigger one next year. That's what I'm saying to myself. Okay, so I've got myself a little bow tied on there with that gorgeous polka dot tulle ribbon. Quite happy with that one first time, which is very unusual. I'm going to pop my sentiment piece on next with a couple of dimensionals or dimensional pieces. If you've used up the center parts, just use the edges, make sure you do get the most out of those. So just a couple of pieces onto the back, pull off the paper backing, and then stick this down. Now I am going to put this over the ribbon. I do quite often say not to do this, but this time I am going to do it because I want this to hold everything slightly in place for me as well. So squeeze that into place. Now because the ribbon is slightly sort of open weaved, the adhesive on the back of your dimensionals is actually going to go through the ribbon and hold it down onto your card layer as well. And then I'm going to put this whole piece on with some liquid glue. So just across the back, so a little bit above where the ribbon goes, and then a little bit of below as well, just to make sure that it is nicely held on to the card front. And this layer I'm putting on straight onto my front card front here. So you'll just see a little bit of that DSP poking around the edges. There we go. thing I'm going to do then is get my little strawberry onto the front, and again I'm going to use some dimensionals on this. Let's see, I need to snip another bit on here. So what I'm going to do is put a little bit of dimensional across the top of my strawberry, and then some liquid glue just onto the point sort of towards the bottom. Peel off that dimensional backing, and I'm going to pop this so it overlaps my sentiment tag on the front of the card. Just hold it into place for a few moments, just give that liquid glue a few seconds just to bond with that. And I'm going to do something very similar with my little sort of stem piece here. I'm going to grab a mini dimensional for this one, which I'm going to put towards the top of the sort of leafy part of the stem. If I hold this up so you can see, I've put the dimensional up here towards the sort of stem part, and I'm going to put a couple of blobs of liquid glue just towards the bottom of the sort of leafier parts of the stem. And again, this just helps to anchor it onto the front of the card and keep it in place. So pop the back of the dimensional off, and then this is going to sit, so the little leaf sort of parts go into the two outer sides of your strawberry, and then the dimensional just sits onto your card front like so. And that is my finished card for today. Quite a simple one, but a very effective one, and this will post flat, so all you do when you put it into the envelope is just push your strawberry down to flatten it, and then it will pop back up for the recipient once they receive it. So thank you very much for joining me in my craft room today. I do hope you have enjoyed this project. If you have, please give the video a like and consider subscribing to the channel so you'll be notified every time I post a new video. All of the products that I've used today pretty much are available, like I said, from January the 5th, when the new January to June catalogue launches. I'll pop a link in the description box below for you to my store with Stampin' Up, so you can start having a browse around there. Like I said, those products will be available January the 5th if you wanted to get a hold of these and give this project a go for yourself. If you are based in the UK and you don't currently have a Stampin' Up demonstrator and you'd like a copy of that new catalogue, get in touch. There'll be a link in the description box below for you where you can request a copy, and I'll get that straight out into the post for you. Thank you again for joining me in my craft room, and I hope to see you again soon. Bye bye.